Good morning, everyone. This is Rise and Shine with Carpo, I guess. It's about 6 a.m. Sun's coming up. It's going to be another beautiful day. Morning's my favorite time. Some mornings I wake up and I'm pretty haggard. Other mornings I wake up and I feel great. Most of the time, though, I feel decent. And I'm not one of those people who really has too hard of a time getting up and getting going, but it can be rough sometimes. But anyhow, that's not what I'm here to talk about. As I sip my coffee and I look at my garden, I have many thoughts each morning about life in general, but during the summer is when I really get the full effect of what it means to me to grow my own food. And it's never been about replacing the food that I can get in the stores. It's never been about trying to be self-sufficient completely, because I know that's out of hand and out of reach at this point. But even to eat a few pieces of your own corn, a few of your own pumpkins, or some of your own lettuce, there's a lot of love put into that. And I was watching actually this documentary a couple days ago. It was on Netflix. It was, I think, something Life. It was one of those shows where they go around the world and they talk about rivers and streams and lakes and mountains. And the very last one was urban jungles. And it was funny, I knew they would cover cities, but and I was glad they did, because towards the end they started talking about places like in New York, where they're doing rooftop gardens, as well as beekeepers, even doing beekeeping on the rooftops, which was illegal in New York up until recently. The regulations are changing as people have to farm and garden closer to their homes. And I was thinking about this morning, how our monoculture society has brought us so much heartache. If you don't know about the potato famine, that's a pretty famous one. Basically, all they ate was potatoes, and over there in Europe, and when the potato blight came, it took out their food supply. And the same thing had happened a lot with maize here in America, and we're not exactly sure historically. I'm not sure of the historical accuracy of, if particular strains went bad, or if they got some sort of blight or disease, but I'm sure that many native cultures probably suffered immensely because of monoculture practices, even at small scale. If you're growing all one type of food, like corn, you're taking a risk. But, so anyway, what I was realizing is that even in times when we were in touch with one another and the planet, as people think, we were still growing food in one location for a mass group of people. So what I'm getting at here is that today's world has forced us to recognize and see that we need to grow our own food, each individual. And it's not always been doable, because at one time we would have, the villages. We'd have the big farmland, and then the villages would all be packed in together. Now we have cities with yards, and not everyone has yards, but let's just say the average American with a house has some form of a yard that he can put a garden in. And so we're not packed into villages unless we live in an apartment, in which case then we have to have like a community garden. But I guess what I'm saying is that we need to utilize all the extra space we have, and I'm seeing this happen. There are many community gardens that have formed. There's a couple down the street from here, many actually, and they're everywhere. And many of the city ordinances are causing problems for people who are trying to, sell their homegrown vegetables at local trade markets that are basically these little farmers markets that just crop up all over the place. But farmers markets that are for individuals now, where you can just bring a few things and share. Los Angeles has a lot of this going on right now. And I think that that's very respectable. I think it's really cool, and I think New York is doing it too. And Portland has always been kind of a, I'm not going to say, I guess, a hippie type area, but, you know, people tend to think of Portlanders as, you know, in a certain way. Well, I guess some people might think of Oregon as hillbillies, but that's not how it is. Anyway, we've got a wide variety of things here, of course, but our city's growing too fast as well. And even though Portland is the bike capital of the country, it's quickly becoming an industrial, you know, land like anywhere else. And we need more farms, more gardens. We need to force our cities to let us use areas. We need to take parks and golf courses and till them and turn them into community gardens. Because it's great to have big, long fields to run and jump in. But I think some parks have way too much grass and not enough gardening. So, those are my thoughts on gardens. Let's see what I got here. I got a little late start on the corn, but it's still knee-high by July. And I got some broccoli and some lettuce, some tobacco, pumpkins, some potatoes, and some various other things. And then over here I actually made this little area earlier. I figure I'll show you guys. Sunflowers, snapdragons, cannabis, salvia. So we make the most of what we have, people. Take her easy. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, today it's 7:19. Maybe I'll stop this video right there.